They wanted a fight. You gave them silence. They expected you to chase. You chose to walk away, and in that quiet, you became untouchable. This isn't weakness, it's the highest form of power. Because when you stop explaining, stop arguing, stop needing their validation, you take away the only weapon they had. This is how you win without shouting, without breaking, without losing yourself, by showing that your peace is worth more than their presence. And once you choose yourself, they can never unsee the strength that silence gave you. Silence is not weakness. It's the deadliest weapon you can use. It's the move that makes the room colder, the moment that flips control from them to you, the instant they realize you're not playing anymore. Weak people explode. Weak people scream. Weak people argue to be understood. The strong, they shut it down. They walk away without explanation. They don't hand their enemy a single drop of emotional ammunition. Silence is control. It's the act of taking your power back without announcing it. It says, I know what you did, and I don't need to tell you. I'm gone. When you're dealing with someone toxic, someone who thrives on seeing you upset, your silence destroys the one thing they cannot survive without, your reaction. They can twist your words. They can twist your tone, but they can't twist your silence. You see, toxic people feed on the noise you make. Your protests, your explanations, your attempts to reason with them, it's all fuel for their ego. They bait you so they can blame you. They push you so they can point at you. They need you to stay engaged so they can keep control. When you choose not to answer, not to explain, not to defend yourself, they have nothing to work with. It's like cutting off their oxygen. At first, they'll get louder. They'll provoke you harder. They'll try to guilt you, mock you, or make you doubt yourself. But you don't flinch. You don't take the bait. You keep your mouth shut and your feet moving forward. That's when the panic sets in for them, because your silence tells them something. Their ego can't handle you are no longer available to be manipulated. They can't win if you refuse to play. And here's the brutal truth. Silence doesn't just end the conversation. It ends the relationship on your terms. You own the last move. You own the moment they realize they lost you for good. Silence is brutal because it denies them closure. Most people want a final conversation. They want a chance to explain themselves, to convince you to stay, to rewrite the ending in their favor. You give them nothing. No goodbye, no fight, no chance. You leave them with questions that will never be answered. And those questions will keep them up at night. What happened? Why didn't they say anything? Why didn't they fight for this? Why didn't they yell at me like they always do? That's the beauty of it. Your silence forces them to sit in the discomfort of their own actions. They'll replay everything in their head, searching for the moment they lost. Control, never realizing you had taken it long before you walked away. Silence isn't about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about refusing to let that hurt dictate your next move. It's about choosing peace over petty battles. It's about refusing to stand in a ring where the fight is already rigged. And the best part? While they're spinning in circles, obsessed with why you disappeared, you're rebuilding, you're healing, you're moving forward so far and so fast they can't even see you anymore. Silence protects you. Silence keeps your dignity intact. Silence makes sure you're remembered not for the way you reacted, but for the way you refused to be dragged down to their level. People confuse silence with surrender. They think if you don't respond, you've lost. They couldn't be more wrong. Silence is the declaration that you've won without needing their acknowledgement. It's walking off the battlefield while the other side is still swinging at the air. Every toxic person fears the day you stop talking to them, not because they miss your voice, but because they miss the control it gave them. Your silence is proof they no longer own any part of you. So when it's time to go, go without the speech, without the fight, without the closure they want. Walk out with your head high, your mouth shut, and your mind made up. Because nothing hurts them more than realizing they'll never get another word from you. That's not weakness. That's power in its purest form. That's revenge they'll never recover from. And it all starts with one decision. Don't speak, don't explain, just leave. Power in disengagement is knowing when to stop giving them the fight they want. It's the moment you look at the chaos they're trying to drag you into, and you simply decide, no, you don't get my energy anymore. Weak people stay in the battle long after it's over. They argue, they defend, they explain. They think that if they just say the right words, the other person will finally understand. But toxic people don't want to understand. They want to drain you. They want to keep you hooked in an endless loop where they control the pace, the topic, and the outcome. They need you emotionally invested because it keeps them relevant in your life. Disengagement cuts that cord. It takes the power they have over you and turns it into dust. It leaves them swinging their fists at the air, desperate for the resistance you no longer provide. See, engagement is the fuel. It keeps the engine running. Every time you answer their call, respond to their jab, or try to reason with them, you're throwing gasoline on a fire that's burning your peace to ashes. They feed on that fire. They thrive on knowing they can still get a rise out of you. When you disengage, you take away their oxygen. You leave them gasping in the silence you've created. At first, they won't believe it. They'll push harder. They'll try to provoke you with insults, threats, or guilt trips. They'll test every button they used to press so easily. But here's the key. You don't flinch. You don't defend yourself. You don't explain why you're done. Because the moment you start explaining, you're back in the game. And that's exactly where they want you. Disengagement is not avoidance. It's not pretending they don't exist. It's a deliberate act of self-preservation. It's saying, I refuse to let you pull me into a place where I lose myself just to keep you satisfied. And it's hard, because you want to speak your truth. You want to defend your name. You want to throw every fact back in their face. But the truth is, you don't need their acknowledgement to be right. You don't need their permission to walk away. The most dangerous thing about disengagement is also the most liberating. They can't stop it. They can't force you to talk. They can't force you to explain. They can't force you to stay in a battle you've already walked away from, and that eats at them. It eats at their ego. It eats at the false power they thought they had over you. Disengagement is power because it shifts the control back to you without saying a word. You decide when the game ends. You decide when the door closes. You decide that they will no longer have front row access to your emotions. And here's the part they hate the most. Disengagement leaves them with nothing to work with. They can't twist your silence. They can't misquote you. They can't spin the story when you've given them no material to work from. The power is in the restraint. Not everyone can do it, because staying silent and walking away takes discipline. It takes strength to stand in the storm and refuse to get pulled into it. They will try to pull you back. They will dangle bait in front of you, an accusation, a lie, a rumor. They will use mutual friends, social media, even fake emergencies to make you engage again. Don't take the bait. The moment you respond, they win. The moment you break your silence, they get the satisfaction they've been starving for. Disengagement works because it's not about punishing them. It's about protecting you. It's about putting your energy into things that actually matter. It's about stepping out of the ring so you can heal, rebuild, and thrive without their poison in your system. And the beautiful thing is, once you master disengagement, you start seeing how much of your life was wasted on people who never deserved that space in the first place. You realize how much peace you gain when you stop reacting to every provocation. You realize that you don't have to win every battle because some battles aren't worth fighting at all. That's the real power. Not proving them wrong, not getting the last word, but removing yourself entirely from the war they're trying to fight. And make no mistake, when you disengage, they will feel it. They will feel the absence of your energy. They will feel the cold vacuum where your attention used to be, and that absence will speak louder than any argument ever could. So the next time someone tries to pull you into a fight you didn't start, remember this: you don't have to swing back. You don't have to answer every attack. You don't have to justify walking away. Disengagement is not weakness. It's a declaration of self-respect. It's proof that your energy is too valuable to waste on battles that don't build you. Walk away with your head high. Stay silent. Stay steady. Let them wrestle with their own noise while you move forward in peace. Because once you learn the power of disengagement, you never let anyone pull you back into their chaos again. Emotional starvation is the art of cutting off the only thing they truly want from you, your reaction. It's not about hate. It's not about revenge in the way most people think. It's about understanding that for toxic people, your emotions are the currency that keeps them rich in control. Every sigh, every tear, every raised voice, it's a deposit into their account. And the moment you stop paying, they go broke. You need to understand this. Toxic people don't care if you love them or hate them. They care that you feel something for them, because feeling something means they still matter. It means they still occupy space in your mind, your heart, your day. They can twist love. They can twist anger. But apathy? Apathy is the language they can't translate. Apathy is the wall they can't climb. Apathy is the silence in which their ego starts to crumble. Emotional starvation is brutal because it's not loud. You're not shouting. You're not throwing accusations. You're not slamming doors. You're doing something far more dangerous in their eyes. You're giving them nothing. No reaction when they provoke you. No acknowledgement when they insult you. No validation when they try to brag or show off. And at first, they'll think it's a bluff. They'll push harder. They'll poke every wound they think you have. They'll drag up your past, question your worth, insult what you care about most. Why? Because they're starving. And desperate people will do anything for a meal. This is the moment most people break. They snap back. They defend themselves. They give that emotional meal away without realizing it. But if you want to take your power back for good, you can't break. You have to let them sit in the hunger. It's not easy because your instinct is to prove yourself right, to defend your truth, to show them they can't walk all over you. But here's the truth. The more you try to prove yourself to a toxic person, the more you prove you're still under their control. Emotional starvation flips the game. It says, I'm done feeding you. Go find someone else to drain. And that's exactly what will happen. When they realize they can't get the reaction they want from you, they will search for a new source. They'll move on, not because they've won, but because they've lost their supply. They'll tell themselves whatever story they need to in order to protect their ego. But deep down, they'll remember that they didn't walk away. You starved them out. You see, emotional starvation isn't about winning the argument. It's about ending the war. You don't just refuse to fight. You dismantle the battlefield entirely. They can stand there with their weapons ready, but there's no one left to aim at. This is why emotional starvation is the most dangerous move you can make. Against someone toxic, it hits them where their power truly lives. Their power is not in their words. It's not in their threats. It's in the way they can make you feel. When you take that away, they are left with themselves. And that's a reality most of them cannot handle. Without you to project on, to blame, to manipulate, they're forced to face the emptiness that made them toxic in the first place. And here's the beauty of it. While they're unraveling, you're rebuilding. You're redirecting your emotions toward people and things that actually deserve them. You're investing in yourself instead of pouring into someone who only sees your worth in terms of what they can take. Emotional starvation is a discipline. It's a decision you make every single time they try to bait you. And yes, there will be moments you want to break that silence, to let them know exactly how wrong they are. But that's when you remind yourself, breaking it gives them what they want, and what they want is the one thing they can't have anymore. This is where your true revenge lives, in the nothingness, the unanswered text, the ignored insult, the refusal to match their chaos with your energy. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time for them to feel the hunger, but eventually they will, and it will consume them, because they're not used to being cut off. The people who live by feeding on others cannot survive when the food stops coming. And when you understand that, you never feed them again. Remember, the loudest statement you will ever make to someone toxic isn't in what you say. It's in what you don't give. You rob them of their favorite addiction. You leave them shaking, not because of what you did, but because of what you refuse to do. That's the real power. That's the real payback. Not screaming, not crying, not proving, just letting them starve until they disappear from your life for good. Self-preservation over confrontation is not cowardice. It's the highest form of strength. It's knowing you don't have to destroy someone to protect yourself. It's understanding that your peace is more valuable than proving you're right. Most people think winning means standing toe-to-toe, shouting louder, hitting harder, landing the final blow. That's the lie. Real winning is when you walk away with your dignity intact, your energy untouched, and your future still yours. Confrontation with toxic people is a trap. It's not a battle you can win because they're not playing to win. They're playing to drain. They don't care about truth. They don't care about logic. They care about keeping you locked in a cycle where your time, your thoughts, and your emotions belong to them. Every time you argue with them, you're paying with pieces of yourself. You think you're defending your name, but you're actually spending your energy on someone who's not worth it. That's why the strongest move you can make is to stop engaging altogether. Self-preservation says, my peace matters more than your opinion of me. It says, I don't need to stand here and bleed so you can feel powerful. People will tell you that walking away is giving up. They'll say you should fight back, that you should make them see the truth. But here's the reality. Forcing someone to see the truth when they've already decided to. Ignore it is like trying to teach someone to swim while they're pretending to drown you. It's not worth it. You can't save someone who enjoys the fight more than the solution. And you can't keep setting yourself on fire just to light the path for someone who has no intention of walking it. Self-preservation is not about pretending nothing happened. It's about accepting that not every battle is worth your blood. It's about realizing that every confrontation has a cost, and some costs are too high to pay. When you choose self-preservation, you take control. You decide where your energy goes. You decide who gets your time. You decide that your life is too important to be spent in endless arguments that solve nothing. It's easy to get pulled into confrontation because it feels like action. It feels like you're doing something. But in reality, you're standing in the same place, repeating the same points, burning the same energy, while your life is passing by outside the room. Self-preservation is stepping out of that room. It's choosing not to let someone else's chaos dictate your day. It's putting your energy toward growth instead of grudges. And yes, it takes more strength to walk away than it does to stay and fight. Because walking away means you're choosing the long-term victory over the short-term satisfaction. It means you're protecting your mental and emotional health, even if your ego is begging you to stay and prove yourself. Think about it. What's the real win? Is it making them admit they were wrong? Or is it living a life where they have no power to affect you at all? You don't need their surrender to win. You win when you are free from their influence. You win when they no longer have the ability to steal your focus. You win when their name no longer stirs anything in you. No anger, no hurt, no need to respond. That's the victory self-preservation brings. It's quiet, it's calm, it's final. The truth is, confrontation with toxic people only strengthens their grip. It keeps you connected. It keeps them relevant. It feeds their ego because your reaction tells them they still matter enough to provoke. Self-preservation cuts that connection. It starves their need for attention. It sends the message that you are untouchable, not because you're hiding, but because you've built a life so full they can't reach you anymore. So the next time you feel that pull, that urge to argue, to defend, to fight for someone to finally get it, pause. Ask yourself, is this protecting me or just feeding them? If it's not protecting you, it's costing you. Protect your peace like it's oxygen. Protect your time like it's gold. Protect your mental space like it's the last safe place you have, because it is. You don't owe anyone a confrontation. You don't owe anyone an explanation. And you certainly don't owe anyone the right to drag you into a war you never wanted to fight. Self-preservation over confrontation is the mindset that says, I don't need to prove you wrong to live right. I don't need you to lose for me to win. I will not sacrifice my peace to feed your chaos. Walk away, not because you're afraid to fight, but because you've already decided you're too valuable to waste on the wrong fight. That's not running. That's not weakness. That's choosing yourself over everything trying to break you. And once you make that choice, you never go back. The most powerful last word is the one you never say. It's the silence that follows your exit. The pause that makes them realize the conversation is over forever. And they didn't even get a chance to finish their side of it. Words can be twisted. Tone can be misread. Your silence? It can't be manipulated. It's pure, final, untouchable. When you're dealing with someone who thrives on control, they're not just after the fight. They're after the ending. They want to shape the narrative. They want to leave the conversation feeling like they still have the upper hand. The last word gives them that false victory. That's why you don't give it to them. You don't argue until you're both exhausted. You don't try to land the perfect comeback. You walk away in silence and leave them standing in the emptiness you've created. It's not easy. Your pride will scream at you to just say one more thing. Your ego will want to set the record straight. You'll think, if I don't say this, they'll believe they're right. Let them. Because here's the truth. People who twist the truth will twist it no matter what you say. They're not looking for clarity. They're looking for a way to win. And the more you speak, the more opportunities you give them to rewrite the ending in their favor. When you refuse to give them anything else, you control the conclusion. You decide when the conversation ends. You decide that they don't get to have the final say over your life, your reputation, or your peace. The silence that follows is not just absence, it's pressure. It forces them to sit with their own words, their own actions, and their own discomfort. It gives them no relief, no closure, no final confirmation that they've still got a hold on you. They'll replay the last moment over and over. They'll try to imagine what you would have said if you had stayed. They'll wonder if you're angry, if you're calm, if you've moved on, or if you're plotting something bigger. That uncertainty is the real last word. Silence works because it denies them the emotional payout. They can't feed off your reaction. They can't twist your message. They can't claim a win you never gave them. And here's the part most people miss. The last word isn't about words at all. It's about ownership. It's about walking away with the knowledge that you ended it on your terms. You're not letting them win by staying quiet. You're winning by refusing to play the game they're trying to keep alive. Think of it like chess. Sometimes the strongest move isn't to take another piece. It's to end the game when you already have the advantage. You tip your king not because you've lost, but because you know the match is beneath you. When you walk away without a final word, you're telling them, this isn't worth my breath. And nothing is more insulting to someone who thrives on drama than realizing they're not worth the effort. They might try to pull you back. They'll bait you with insults, guilt trips, and false accusations. They'll create new conflicts just to get you to respond. Don't, because the moment you respond, the moment you break your silence, they've got you back on the hook. Holding the last word without speaking takes discipline. It takes restraint. It takes the ability to look at the bait and walk right past it without slowing down. At first, it will feel unnatural. We're trained to defend ourselves, to correct falsehoods, to make our side heard. But once you master the art of the silent last word, you'll see how much more effective it is than any speech you could give. Your silence will speak for you. It will say, I'm not here to convince you, I'm here to be done. It will say, your opinion is irrelevant to my life. It will say, I own the ending now. And here's the secret. The one who owns the ending owns the story. You decide when the book closes. You decide that their chapter in your life is over, and you don't even need to read the final page. That is ultimate control. Not just over them, but over yourself. You've proven that you don't need to win with words. You win by not giving them a single word more. So when it's time, stop talking. Let your absence be the echo they can't stop hearing. Let your silence be the question they can't answer. And let the unfinished sentence be the last thing they ever get from you. Because the most powerful last word is no word at all. Dignity over drama is the mark of a person who understands their worth. When you choose dignity, you send a message so powerful that no argument, no insult, and no confrontation could ever match it. You're not walking away because you're scared. You're walking away because you know you're above the noise. Drama is a trap. It thrives on reaction, on feeding chaos with more chaos. But dignity starves it. It's quiet, it's firm, it's unshakable. People who try to drag you into their storms want to see you lose control. They want you to throw words, slam doors, and fight to be right. But the moment you keep your composure, you've already won. When you meet disrespect with silence, you aren't avoiding the problem. You're owning it. You're telling the world, I don't entertain nonsense. It takes strength to stand your ground without having to raise your voice. Weak people argue to be heard. Strong people know that not every battle deserves their energy. Dignity means protecting your peace like it's your last breath, because in many ways it is. When you let go of the urge to prove yourself to people who've already decided not to see your value, you save yourself from battles you were never meant to fight. Walking away in dignity doesn't mean you've surrendered. It means you've chosen the battlefield wisely. It's the difference between fighting in mud and standing on solid ground. You don't need to engage every attack to prove you can defend yourself. You prove it by showing you can control yourself. And that control will always speak louder than your anger. This is not weakness. This is mastery. It is the discipline to withhold your fire until it's truly needed, and often it's not. Drama demands participation. Without you, it collapses. That's why people who thrive on chaos push harder when you stay calm. They'll poke, provoke, and try to drag you into their mess. They'll twist your silence into guilt or arrogance, because they hate losing control over your emotions. But here's the truth. When you refuse to play their game, you take away their power. They might rant, they might gossip, they might try to smear your name. Let them. Those who matter will see the truth without you having to explain it. Those who believe lies were never truly for you. Dignity is not just walking away. It's walking away without turning back. It's resisting the temptation to check their reaction, to see if they regret losing you, to measure your worth by their response. True dignity is self-contained. It doesn't seek validation. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't crave revenge. It finds peace in knowing that your energy is now invested where it belongs, into yourself and your future. When you rise above the drama, you're telling the world that your peace, your integrity, and your growth matter more than winning an argument. You're proving that you can endure being misunderstood, because your value doesn't live in someone else's opinion. You understand that silence is not the absence of power, it's the presence of it. In that silence, you're choosing clarity over confusion, self-respect over approval, and long-term peace over temporary satisfaction. The most brutal form of revenge is not showing someone you're angry. It's showing them they no longer have the privilege of affecting you at all. You become untouchable, not because you fought harder, but because you didn't need to fight. Your restraint becomes your shield. Your calm becomes your weapon. Your absence becomes the punishment they never saw coming. So, keep your dignity. Let them talk. Let them imagine. Let them wonder. Because while they waste their breath on drama, you're building something greater. You're moving forward, and in time they'll see exactly what they lost, not through your words, but through the undeniable reality of your life without them. That's not just dignity, that's dominance without ever raising your voice. The most powerful transformations happen in silence, when no one is watching and no one is applauding. Growth that is seen is often questioned, judged, or challenged. But growth that is unseen, that is untouchable. It happens quietly beneath the surface, where you are free from the noise, the opinions, and the interruptions of the world. This is where the empath becomes dangerous, not because they shout, but because they evolve in ways no one can predict. The silent exit isn't about disappearing in weakness. It's about stepping into a new realm where you no longer need anyone's approval, validation, or recognition. While they are busy underestimating you, you are busy outgrowing them. When you choose unseen growth, you deny your enemies the satisfaction of tracking your progress. They can't sabotage what they can't see. They can't prepare for a version of you they haven't met yet. This is the quiet power of withdrawal. Not retreat, but recalibration. You are pulling back to refine your mind, strengthen your resilience, and sharpen your intuition. Every day away from their chaos is a day you become harder to read, harder to manipulate, and harder to reach. Most people waste their energy proving themselves to those who never valued them. That is the trap. You don't need to show them anything. The only person who needs to see your transformation is you. By keeping it private, you strip away their influence over your self-worth. They no longer get to measure your success against their own insecurities. You are not competing, you are creating, and creation thrives best away from the contamination of small minds. Unseen growth is also the most strategic form of revenge. While they believe you are gone and forgotten, you are quietly building the life they can't touch. You are cultivating strength they will one day recognize too late. And when they finally cross paths with you again, they won't just see change. They will see someone unrecognizable, someone who no longer needs what they once offered. That is the moment their power over you dissolves completely. This kind of evolution requires discipline. It's easy to announce your every move, to post your progress, to let the world know you're rising. But that kind of attention feeds the wrong people. The more they know, the more they can anticipate. Instead, you starve them of information. You leave them wondering where you are, what you're doing, and how you're doing it. The unknown unsettles them far more than your presence ever could. There's a deeper beauty in growing without applause. It means you are doing it for yourself. You are not chasing likes, recognition, or praise. You are chasing mastery. You are chasing the kind of power that doesn't depend on anyone else's permission. This is the growth that lasts. This is the growth that can't be undone by gossip, betrayal, or rejection. And here's the truth. They won't know the cost of losing you until they see what you've become. But by then, it's too late. You've already moved so far ahead that their opinion no longer matters. You've already built a reality where their existence is irrelevant. That is the sharpest cut you can deliver, thriving in a world that doesn't include them, and not even needing them to know it. So disappear from their stage, leave their noise behind, grow where no one can touch you. And when the time comes to step back into the light, you won't need to explain yourself. Your very presence will speak for you, and it will speak louder than any words ever could. The empath's silent exit isn't the end. It's the beginning of the kind of life where your power is untouchable and your growth is unstoppable. Would you like me to now do the final speech where I combine all 8 keynotes into one seamless, ruthless, motivational delivery? That would make it hit like a knockout blow. No closure is the closure. When you walk away without explanation, you leave the other person in a silence they cannot control. People crave answers. They want to understand, to rewrite the story in their favor, to feel like they still hold some part of you. When you deny them that, you take back all your power. You're not obligated to soothe the very person who broke you. You are not here to give them the comfort of a goodbye speech, the dignity of a final word, or the reassurance that they still matter. The truth is, closure is often just a polite way to reopen wounds. It's the trap of sitting across from someone who hurt you, expecting that the right combination of words will make the pain dissolve. But what usually happens? They minimize, they deflect, they twist the blame back on you. Suddenly you're not closing anything. You're back in the same toxic loop you fought so hard to escape. When you choose no closure, you choose self-respect. You choose to protect your peace over feeding their ego. You refuse to give them one last chance to rewrite the narrative. That silence will eat at them far longer than any well-crafted goodbye ever could. Why? Because humans hate uncertainty. We hate the story with no ending, the question mark that lingers in our minds at 3 a.m. Your absence becomes that question mark. It makes them replay every detail, wondering what you're thinking, what you feel, whether you've moved on, whether they even mattered at all. This is not about being cruel. It's about reclaiming control. The moment you walk away without explaining, you shift the balance. They don't get to script the ending. They don't get to be the hero in their own version of events. They're left with the uncomfortable truth that they no longer have access to you. You've shut the door, and they can knock for the rest of their life if they want. You won't answer. You must understand this. Closure is something you give yourself, not something you wait to receive. If you sit there waiting for someone else to hand it to you, you've already surrendered your power. You're telling them your healing depends on their approval, their honesty, their willingness to meet you halfway. But real healing? That happens when you stop needing anything from them. People will tell you that you owe others explanations, that you should talk it out, be the bigger person, leave on good terms. But you've already been the bigger person every time you stayed quiet when you could have exposed them. Every time you showed patience when you could have retaliated. Every time you gave them a piece of yourself despite knowing they didn't deserve it. Walking away without closure is not pettiness. It's the final act of self-defense. And here's the part they'll never admit out loud. When you don't give closure, you remain unforgettable. They may not respect you while you're there, but they will respect the silence you leave behind. They'll try to fill it with noise, gossip, lies, distractions, but deep down they'll feel the absence. It will sting every time your name comes up, every time they realize they have no idea where you are or how you feel. So don't send the text, don't write the letter, don't sit in the cafe across from them rehearsing your lines, just leave. Leave without warning, without ceremony, without the emotional gift wrap they expect. Let the unanswered questions be your statement. Let your absence speak. The ones who truly cared will already know why you left. The ones who didn't will search for answers they'll never get. That's not your problem anymore. Your job now is to step into the life that's waiting for you. Free, unbothered, and untouchable. No closure is the closure, and it's the one ending they'll never see coming. The most devastating blow you can deliver is not through shouting, arguing, or proving your point. It's through walking away without explanation. When you remove yourself without a word, you strip the other person of the stage they crave, the fight they expect, and the attention they feed on. This is not weakness. This is mastery, because silence isn't the absence of power, it's the control of it. It says, I don't need to convince you. I don't need to fight for you to see my worth. I already know it. That kind of restraint is unnerving to those who thrive on chaos. They want your emotions, your reactions, your surrender. And when you give them nothing, you starve them in the most brutal way possible. Walking away without closure is not about cruelty. It's about self-respect. It's about deciding that your peace is worth more than their understanding. You no longer explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You no longer negotiate your value with those who never intended to see it. You realize that the person who truly sees you will never need a speech to understand why you left. And the one who never valued you doesn't deserve that speech in the first place. People fear silence because it forces them to face themselves. When you leave quietly, you leave them alone with their thoughts, their guilt, and the echo of your absence. You deny them the comfort of blaming you or twisting your words. You deny them the closure they can manipulate into another chapter of control. Instead, they are left with the haunting question, what did I do? And that question can burn far longer than any angry exchange ever could. You see, confrontation can be satisfying in the moment. You can unload your pain, your anger, your truth. But in the process, you give them a reaction, a piece of you. And the very people you're trying to break away from thrive on that energy. They will twist it, mock it, and use it to re-engage you. But silence? Silence gives them nothing to work with. They can't argue with it, they can't manipulate it, and they can't control it. It is the one move they can't counter. Leaving without closure is not just about ending a connection, it's about reclaiming your power. It's about saying, I'm done giving you space in my mind, my heart, and my life. You stop performing for their approval. You stop proving your worth. You stop fighting battles that only drain you. And in that moment, you rise above their reach. Some will call it cold. Some will call it heartless. But they only say that because they want you back in the game. They want you reactive, emotional, and tied to them. By refusing to give them that satisfaction, you become unpredictable. You become untouchable. And when you are untouchable, you win. Understand this. Your silence will echo louder than any words you could ever say. They will replay moments in their head, searching for the answer they'll never get. They will remember the way you once cared, and they will feel the sharp contrast of your absence. And whether they admit it or not, they will know they pushed you to a place they can never reach again. This is not about revenge for the sake of hurting them. This is about justice for yourself. It's about drawing a hard line and standing on the other side of it without wavering. You refuse to return to the same cycle. You refuse to give them another chance to disrespect you. You refuse to let your worth be something they get to decide. The empath's silent exit is the most brutal revenge because it's not about them, it's about you. You are not leaving to punish them. You are leaving to save yourself. And in saving yourself, you give them the greatest punishment of all, life without you. They may not realize it now, but they will. And when they do, they'll wish for the words, the fight, the closure. But they'll get nothing. The silence will be your final statement. A statement that says you value your dignity over their drama, that your peace is worth more than their chaos, and that you are no longer available to play a part in a story that was never written in your favor. They can rewrite the ending in their mind as much as they want, but the truth will always be that you ended it, quietly, completely, irreversibly, and that is power. So here's the truth. Walking away without a word is not about punishing someone. It's about freeing yourself. It's about showing that your worth is not up for debate, that you refuse to waste your life explaining, begging, or proving to people who never intended to value you. Silence is the final word that echoes louder than any argument. It forces the other person to sit in their own noise, their own emptiness, their own consequences, while you step into a life they can no longer touch. That is the real victory. That is the revenge.